Hi guys, today's guest I've got Ronnie Fields, who's got a book called Nefarious. If you haven't read it, I'm going to put it on the screen. How are you doing today, Ronnie?
Very well, very well.
I want to start off with your childhood. What was life like for you growing up?
Terrible. I was born in one of the last workhouses. Well, it was the last workhouse to close, which was in Epsom. Do you know what a workhouse is?
No.
Oh, Charles Dickens, Oliver Twist. He was in the workhouse, but these weren't that bad. But it was the last workhouse to close. And I was born. All my brothers and sisters were born there. 13 of us, one after the other. And no, life wasn't very easy when we was kids. We had my dad was always in prison, and then he shot off and never come back till I was about 15, 16, and left us with his mum, who was a right tyrant, a right evil, nasty woman, who I tried to strangle one day when I was little, but she was a big old bird, like a big old washerwoman, you know what I mean? And I didn't succeed, but she left us alone after that because she knew I'd creep up on her one day and do her. Yeah.
What made you strangle her?
Sorry?
What made you strangle, if you don't mind me asking?
She was beating my mum up. So I jumped on her. And she must have been about 18 stone at the time, and my mum was about 8 stone, you know what I mean? And she was always picking on me mum, and as I got older and bigger, I knew that something had to be done to stop all this, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you have any role models growing up?
Any what?
Any role models?
Role models? No, not really, no, I don't think so, no. No, there was a lot of people that I was friends with, but I was a lot younger than them, you know, like Big Joe, people like that, you know what I mean? And Charlie Kray and all that, you know. But I was younger than them, so I didn't really get into the things with them till I made me mark. Yeah.
What was school like for you growing up?
Sorry, I can't hear.
What was school like for you growing up?
School, I didn't like school, they didn't like us. We was always scruffy, we was always dirty. Having a wash before you went to school was an unheard of thing. It just didn't happen in our house. It was just no good at all, you know what I mean? In school, there was a few kids that were friends with us, but most of them, their parents told them not to talk to us. Mustn't talk to them.
Did you have any, close friends in school or anything?
Yeah, they're all dead now, funny thing. I'm the only one left alive. Yeah, Terry Winkelobson, we used to call him Winkle. Bobby Skinner, he's dead. Winkle's dead. Winkle died in the Marsden. Trevor Booth. I haven't heard from Trevor for years now. He joined the army. Went to, where'd he go? Cyprus, I think it was. No, it wasn't Cyprus. It was Cyprus, somewhere like that, yeah. And when he come out, he was sort of different. You know, we were teddy boys when he went away, and when he come out, he was all short hair and, you know, all them days had gone, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What did you do when you left school? Did you get a job or anything?
Yeah, I was a tree fella. My granddad and my dad were tree fellas. My dad was a safe blower as well, part time. And I was a tree fella. I had fencing, turfing, and all that. And I got my own firm together, working firm, you know, tree felling and all that, and made a few quid like that. Just carried on from there. Then I met Carol on my 16th birthday. Her mum asked if she could come to my 16th birthday party. And I said, yeah, and we ended up going out together. And I robbed the post office to buy an house. Robbed the post office and bought my first house. And robbed another post office the next day to furnish it.
Do you remember the first time that you robbed the post office? How did you learn how to do all of that?
Sorry,
how did you learn how to do that?
You scare people, don't you? You just go in hollering and shouting. I used to fire a shot into the ceiling, and that usually put everyone used to get on the floor, you know what I mean, straight away. You stand there asking them, they don't get down, but you let one go and they get on the floor pretty quick, you know what I mean? You ain't there to hurt no one, you're just there for the money. You're not there to shoot people. I know I did shoot some people, but that wasn't what I wanted to do. That was just, well, that was an accident, really. I went to blow a hole in the door. The door was supposed to be still low-end, and the cashiers were all behind it. I fired a shotgun at the lock, but the door just disintegrated, and there's 4 or 5 women sitting behind it, all got pellets in their legs and chunks of wood and all that. And that wasn't something that never meant to happen. But it happened, and they gave me 10 years for each woman that got shot, and 12 years for the robbery.
So how long did you end up doing?
12, yeah. You don't do it all, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first day in prison?
Yeah. It was up in, we got nicked. I got nicked up in Leeds on our wages office. That's the one we're on about. And got nicked on the M1 coming home. And they took us to Wandsworth, I think it was. I can't remember now. Wandsworth. Was it Wandsworth?
Armley, wasn't it?
Armley, sorry. Yeah, Armley was up north. Yeah, Armley. And because we were what they called cockneys, and they were all northern, they didn't like cockney gangsters, they called us, you know what I mean? So we was fighting every day with the cons up there and the screws. And I stabbed a couple of geezers up in Armley in the nick with their own tools, it happens. And they moved us down south. But first day in prison was, I knew what it was going to be like, because everyone I knew had been in prison, you know. So once I got down to London and that, and people knew that I was a friend of Joe's, Big Joe's, and everything went all right. Then of course the Krays. As soon as I got to Parkhurst, they was waiting for me. 2:00 in the morning. They was in the reception room, having a cup of tea, waiting for me to come. And I come down, and they introduced them. I knew they were, you know, but they introduced themselves, and anything I wanted, they give me a big box of biscuits, powdered milk, sugar, tea, everything. You know, everything you need, tobacco. Everything was there for me. So I started off a jump ahead sort of thing. You know, everyone knew who my friends were, and I'd made me mark up north with the little bit of trouble I had up there. So I suppose I was sort of respected, really. People sort of respected me. And yeah, I got on all right.
My dad told me every bank robber back in the day, their dream bank to rob would have been the...
You'll have to speak up, love.
My dad told me years ago, back in the day, every robber's dream bank would have been the England Bank. What was it called? The
Midland Bank?
No, I forgot the name of it.
National Westminster?
Something like that.
Barclays?
Was it a clearing bank, did you mean?
No, he said, but it was like the England Bank. I'm not too sure. Like, don't quote me on it. But what would have been your dream bank to rob?
Well, I wasn't sticking to one, but we done Midlands, Barclays, Westminster. We never left no one out. We was robbing banks nearly every Friday. Sometimes 2 on a Friday. We didn't get enough. Then we go back and do another one in the afternoon.
Did you ever wear like masks or anything to do it?
Oh, we always had a mask on. Yeah, I used to wear a stocking.
A stocking?
A stocking over my head and a ski mask over that. And sometimes I'd have a bit of silver paper on my tooth. So it looked like I had a false tooth, you know what I mean? Yeah.
What was it like when you was doing the robberies? Was there any time you did it and you were scared that you wasn't going to get away with it?
I used to like it. I used to like the thrill, if you like, you know what I mean? Gives you a good buzz, and the better buzz is when you get home and start counting the money out, and you realise how much, because you never know how much you got. Unless you got when you get the bags either had 25 grand, 50 grand, or 75 grand. You know, the security court bags. But when you're scooping it up, say you got 500 wage packets, you're scooping up, you don't know how much you got until you start opening it up. And the worst thing that ever happened there was they started putting these paper clips through the wage packets and the money. And by the end of the day, your thumb was bleeding where you keep opening all these packets up. Yeah.
With my granddad, Joe Pyle, did you ever do any robberies with him or anything?
No. Joe, when I met Joe, his robbery days was over. He was a governor then, wasn't he? He was nightclubs, and people used to ask him to look after their clubs, so we'd go to the clubs on a Friday just to be seen there. And they never used to get no trouble. And we used to have a free night of champagne, and like Stringfellow, isn't it? Peter Stringfellow, never used to charge us nothing. Used to just go in there, you know, Annabelle's, all them, you know what I mean, all the nice places. I don't think they liked us in there, but they never turned us away. They turned us away one day at Annabelle's, and it was me and Charlie Kray got to the door, and the governor came down. He said, sorry, Charlie. He said, you can't come in tonight. So Charlie said, why's that in? He said, Princess Di's in. So Charlie went, well, I don't mind. You know, as if, it nothing, you know what I mean? But they didn't want him talking to Princess Di. You know, imagine the headlines, couldn't you? Charlie Kray and Princess Di. Yeah. What
was Charlie like, in your opinion?
Charlie was a gentleman. Charlie was nothing like the twins. He was a good boxer, could have a fight. I've seen him fight a few times in the nick. And he wasn't scared of no one, and he didn't rely on the twins. In fact, he used to fight a lot of the twins' battles for them to stop them killing people. You know, he'd do it instead of the twins, because the twins would just chop them up. But Charlie used to fight a lot of their battles. But he was a gentleman, Charlie. He really was. Never had any money. Never. I used to give him £1,000. We used to do a little thing. I used to give him £1,000 every Friday. And by Monday, he'd ask, can you lend me a few quid? You know what I mean? He'd done it. I don't know what he'd done it on, but he'd done it. And he wasn't a drug. He used to like a bit of coke, but he never used to buy it. He'd always have someone else's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he didn't spend his money on coke, but yeah, Charlie was a gentleman. He always was.
Did you ever get into any trouble or anything with Charlie Kray?
Did I get into any trouble? Yeah, I got nicked with Charlie, didn't I? Got nicked with Charlie for the Charlie. We got done for, I suppose, that they said it was the biggest cocaine deal ever. It was all rubbish. They said we was bringing in so many thousand kilos of this, that and the other. We weren't, but they put us away for it.
How long did you do for it?
I'd done 9 years for that. Yeah, that was one of my short sentences. No, yeah, you got 9 years for that, and it was all a fit up from start to finish. These Charlie was going up north a lot because he used to do a lot of business up north, and he got introduced to these three geezers up there, and they was buying him gold lighters and paying for his hotels and all that, you know what I mean? And Charlie was right, took him by him, but they were undercover old Bill. And Charlie's boy died, and we had to do a remembrance thing for him in the Fairfields Hall. And these three geezers, Charlie invited them down, and they come down, so Charlie introduced me to them. And Charlie said to him, anything you need, Ron will get you. I don't know why he said that. But then Charlie promised them so many kilos of coke and God knows what, you know what I mean? And in the end, I got to 2 kilos. It was 2 kilos, wasn't it? 2 kilos?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 2 kilos of coke off one old bill and give it to other old bill. Yeah, they proper reeled us in, you know what I mean? They looked the part and all. These guys, you would never have thought of those old bills, except for their shoes. They always had Dr. Martens. But they had nice suits, a bit of Tom. You know, they always had birds with them and all that. We were policewomen anyway. When we met at this hotel, and they paid for our hotel, me and Charlie's hotel paid for us, and what we didn't know, everyone in the hotel was old Bill. The staff, the waitresses, you know, all the other guests, all old Bill, all there to get us. It was unbelievable. Don't know who they thought we were.
Must thought you were the mafia or something.
Yeah, that's what they thought. They thought we were something. I think it was the name Kray at Edgton one. Excuse me.
What was your opinion on Ronnie and Reggie Kray?
Ultraviolet, violent. Ronnie was completely crazy. But with Ronnie, you knew where you was with Ronnie. If Ronnie had something to say to you, if he had the hump with you, he'd either clump you straight away or tell you, then clump you. Or, you know, try and clump you. But Reggie was, you'd go to the toilet, he'd come in, be talking to you, you'd be standing at the toilet, washing, he'd come around and stab you in the back, you know. He was very crazy. They say Ronnie was crazy, but Reggie was devious crazy, you know what I mean? He, always plotting. But they treated me all right, you know. I never had no trouble with them, really. Well, I didn't have no trouble with them. I wouldn't be here, would I?
Obviously, they were very feared.
I can't hear them.
Obviously, they was very, feared and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you ever fear them or anything?
I didn't have to, did I? No,
Yeah.
I wasn't scared of them. I suppose I would have been if I'd have been on the wrong side of the firm. No, they always treated me all right. Everyone treated me all right. I mean, I was with Joe, wasn't I? Big Joe, so it didn't matter. And I was known for, I get upset with those who shoot them, so I got 5 convictions for shooting people, and a couple of other times I got away with it, but people knew that I didn't take fools lightly, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't be bullied. I had enough of that when I was little.
How did you meet my granddad, Joe?
I was 16, and I used to drink in the Red Lion at Sutton, and Joe was drinking. Joe was in there, and few faces, you know what I mean? Because I was a lot younger than Joe, as you know. And one day he sent me a drink over, and we got chatting. He said, "Do you want to go to work?" So I knew where you meant. He didn't want me to do no scaffolding. And I think, I went, yeah, I'll go to work, Joe. And that was it. I was working with Joe then, and doing very nicely, earning a nice few quid. And then Joe got set up by this. He ended up working for it. He was he wasn't a cozzer, but he was working with them, putting people away. You know what I mean? And Joe got set up by him on a load of drugs. They weren't drugs, but the old Bill said they were drugs. I mean, Joe had them all tested, And there weren't no drugs. They weren't drugs. They were some sort of thing for athletes and all that, like a sort of a weak speed. So, mind you, Joe had done 7 years by then, so, but he got out then, you know, it was all proved.
You and Joe did time in Belmarsh. My dad told me the story, how you guys got him transferred from the prison he was at to Belmarsh with his own single cell. How did that come about?
Well, a lot of screws, Belmarsh screws, live quite local. Some of them even live in Sutton and places that we used to drink. So they knew I knew who they were, and not that we'd ever hurt their families and that, but they thought you would. So I said we need Joe to come here with us. And he was in the unit, Belmarsh special unit, and but he was downstairs, and you don't mix. You don't mix. There's 12 cells to a spur, to a landing, you know what I mean? There's four landings, and you never see each other. So someone shouted out one day, Ronnie Fields. So I, "Wasn't that you, Joe?" He went, "Yeah." He said, "I'm downstairs." I went, "Right." He said, "Can you get us moved upstairs?" I said, "I'll see what I can do." So spoke to the governor and all that and the other, and they'd do anything, because we smashed that unit up so many times. It cost them a fortune. We was always wrecking the place. But they couldn't do nothing to it. What they could do to us? We were looking at 30 odd years, you know. Yeah, so they let Joe come up. Big Joe, you mean, don't you? Yeah, Big Joe come up, and we was all right. We all spend all day. But once they started letting, because they never used to let us out when the unit first opened, I was the first man in there on my own. After the riot at Brixton, after the IRA escaped, they moved me to Belmarsh the next day. They were still sweeping up the wood chippings in the special unit. It's a little prison in the corner, on its own screws and all that. And I got there and I thought, bloody hell, this is a bit grim, prison inside a prison. Got in there, and Screw said to me, poke me, he went, "You won't have your own way here, Fields," and he kept poking me, and I said, "Don't do that, Governor." And he went, "Oh, what are you going to do?" So I showed him. So that was my first day there. I got well and truly tuned up and good hiding. But they left us alone after that. When you're looking at the sentences that we were looking at, you know, you just want an easy life, don't you? You know what I mean? The food was always cold, because it used to come over from the main prison, so we had a few tear-ups over that. Chinned a few screws and that, and just to try and get our point across. And then, because there was a fully functional kitchen in the unit itself, so they got a chef, cook. They called them chefs, but they're cooks. And they used to do our meals. Well, there was only eight of us at the time. Just do our meals for us there and then, and that was all right. So things started getting a bit easier then, you know. And then the Arifs come, the little Turkish firm. They got done at but Mariah got ill on her security van. One of them got killed there, not one of the Arifs, one of their firm. And they all ended up there with us, and we all got on all right. In fact, they all come to the book signing, you know, so we've been mates ever since, sort of thing. They was good days, but not good if you understand what I mean. You know, we was all together, so when you're all together, no one can really have a go at you, not even the screws, you know what I mean, because you ain't got nothing to lose, have you?
Yeah. How many riots did you see in prison?
How much?
How many riots did you see in prison?
I was in 3 myself. But I only see the riots that I was in, you know, in the unit mostly. One on the main wing with your dad.
What was that one about?
I don't know, food, I think. Well, there was always over food. Yeah. And I said to him, "Stay here." I said, don't come down with me. He went, why is that? I said, because I'm going to chin the screw down there. I don't want to dish out the food. I said, don't come down with me. You asked him. So he stayed up top. But as soon as I chinned the screw, he came running down. I thought, I just told you not to come down so you don't get into trouble, you know what I mean? But he come flying down and it all went off again, you know what I mean? And food everywhere. And then they banged us all up, and then they come round later in the evening and bashed us all up, one after the other, you know what I mean? As they do.
What was the worst thing that you saw in prison?
The worst thing I saw, young kid being raped. That was in, I think that was in Maidstone, I can't remember now. No, it weren't. It was in the one at Sutton. What's that called? Down, yeah. Young kid was getting and I don't like anything like that, you know what I mean? There was 5 of them around him, and there was nothing you could do. Nothing you could do at all. We voiced our disapproval, and they left him alone, but it was already done, you know what I mean? He was already terrible state. I think he killed himself about 3 years later, if I remember rightly. I can't remember now. I think he did. Not a nice thing to happen to someone, is it? You know what I mean?
What would you say your best moment in... Oh no, that's a bad question. Just trying to think of a question. That kind of threw me.
You was going to say my best moment in prison?
Yeah.
Getting released. Yeah, getting released, yeah. They come and told me come up to me one night and he went, called me into the office. I got in there, there's 2 governors and 3 screws. I said, what have I done now? And they went, you're going home. I went, yeah. I went, when? They went, tomorrow. So that was it. I got told the night before that I was going home. So didn't have a chance to have a party or nothing. Because you always have a party when someone goes home, you know what I mean?
My dad told me you was always really happy in like prison. Obviously not happy to be there or anything, but you was like a happy personality and stuff in there.
Well, I wouldn't let things get me down, you know what I mean? Yeah. That was a nice thing to say. Yeah. I always try and jog along, you know what I mean? If you can help someone, you can. I mean, I used to see kids coming in and I knew what was going to happen to them. So we'd go over and talk to them, all right, mate, you know, give them a roll up or something. And people think they're your friends, and 9 times out of 10 they'll leave them alone. But there was a lot of sexual assaults in there, because I know it's no excuse, but everyone was doing 15, 20 years, you know what I mean? And a lot of them had already lost all their remission, so they was going to be doing all their burden. But I know it's no excuse, and it's a vile thing, but it used to happen a lot. But once they see them talking to us, our little firm, they used to sort of leave them alone a bit. I don't know whether they thought they were their girls, but they used to leave them alone.
Yeah. What was the worst prison that you went to?
Wandsworth. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't like us. Well, they didn't like us up north, but we was only up there a little while. But one was the worst prison, I think. The screws, I just seemed to be bred to be nasty, you know what I mean? When there was two screws I used to talk to, and I used to get me puff off of one of them and me vodka off the other one. So used to give them £100 for a bottle of vodka, and Joe used to give him chunks of puff for me, you know what I mean? And then he started buying cases of vodka, and the screw would pop round to your nens, pick out a couple of bottles of vodka for us, and then the screw would bring them in the next day, sort of, you know what I mean, in a lemonade bottle. You know, pour them in the lemonade bottles, yeah. We'd drink them that day, because you couldn't, you was always getting, cells were always getting spun, turned over. So you couldn't save some for the next day. Right, got piss up. And bit of a fry up, you're always swapping stuff for meat out of the kitchen, bacon and sort of steaks. They weren't really steaks, but they were the best there was, We used to get the screws. We had a mate who worked in what they call the officer's mess. He was doing the cooking in there. And I used to buy a couple of steaks off of him, give him half ounce, a couple of steaks. Half ounce of tobacco, not. Yeah. And we'd have a cook up. Screw come up to me one day because we used to have a cooker on the wing. Screw come up, he went there. There's 2 bits of steak it was their steak. And he went, that smells really nice, Phil. And he went to lift it up. I went, don't lift that up, Governor. He went, why not? I went, no, don't lift it up. And he went, and he walked off. I thought, thank Christ for that. We ate a little bit raw that day, but he left it alone. There weren't many screws that were really nasty to us. Northern screw. When we was up north, they didn't like us at all. Cockney gangsters, they called us. But got to Wandsworth, and they was all right. They just didn't take no nonsense, and we didn't take no nonsense. So we had a sort of like an uneasy, like a little bit of feeling. Didn't want to upset each other. If there was a football match on, and they had a television on the wing in the end, and so Governor, don't finish till 8:15, and you're supposed to bang up at 8. Yeah, all right, we'll stay open. Let you stay open, you know what I mean? Because they were supposed to finish at 8, but they'd stay there for 10, 15 minutes while the match was finished. I mean, no interest in football myself. I was always playing Kaluki.
What's Kaluki?
It's a card game with 2 packs of cards. It's like rummy, but with 2 packs of cards, Good game. But you've got to be really good at it. I wasn't. I used to lose Mars bars after Mars bars, but Dennis Harif, he was really good at it. And Ronnie Easterbrook, he had a mind like a calculator. He could remember what cards went. He's dead now, Ron, but he was in a prison van. He smuggled some gelignite in, or someone smuggled it in for him. He was smuggled in a caviar pot, and he tried to blow the hatch off when you're in a prison van, in a Cat A van, you're all in little bits, and you're cuffed up and all that. But he tried to blow the roof off, the hatch off, the escape hatch. But he ended up blowing himself up. He didn't get out. But you should look him up. Ronnie Easterbrook. He was so staunch. They shot him and his mate, and they shot his mate dead. His mate had his hands up and all. They shot him, and they shot Ron. And then because I was walking over to put another one in him, Ron was had his leg on top of his gun. As I come over like that, and Ron just shot him. Didn't kill him, but it stopped him shooting him, and then they shot Ron again. Then so he had a few holes in him. He was a good old arm robber, very staunch in the nick. Don't matter if he didn't even know you, and he was walking along the landing, and he see you fighting a screw, he'd jump in because it was fighting a screw. You know what I mean? He didn't have to know who you was or anything like that. He was doing. I was with him in his cell having a cup of tea, and we went out and exercised and come back, and there was a brown envelope on his bed. So I said, "Oh, you got some mail?" He went, "Yeah." He knew what it was. It was changing his sentence to a natural life, from a life sentence to a natural life sentence. I mean, he's never going to get out. So I'm sorry about that, Ron. He went, "Well, I never had no intention of getting out anyway, Ron." He was just going to do a few screws and let them kill him, you know what I mean? So, but he was a really staunch geezer. really was. And a gentleman. And a good kaluki player.
I'll have to look into it and play a game of that. What are your views on Charlie Bronson still being locked up?
I became mates with Charlie. I can't think where I was now. It was in the unit. It was, yeah. I become mates with him, and through your granddad, and we were always sort of close, and he's always sending me. He's a good artist, really good artist. He sent me some blinding drawings. I've given them all away now, mostly. And they were a fortune now. One went for over £1,000 the other day. He was very angry. He was angry all the time. And he could fight and all. He could have a row. I always got annoyed, but we fell out when he was going to make a film. Your granddad was going to make a film about him. And I was going to be the technical advisor. And they used to let him use the phone any time he wanted it, just to keep him quiet. So he was always phoning me up. So he said, "Oh, do this, Ron, do that." So in the end, I was getting more orders off them. I was the missus. You know, do this, do that. So in the end, I said, "Charlie, I'm supposed to be advising you on the film. I'm not a lackey, run here, run there, everywhere." And we fell out after that. We stopped talking, but he always sends me a Christmas card with a drawing on it. I don't think he'll ever get out to the truth. It's a shame, really. Terrific artist, but he's been in too long now. Over 60 years, isn't it, Mark?
Not quite that long, but...
Is it not? 50 odd, nearly 60 years.
50 probably.
Yeah.
But he went in and came out and then went back.
Yeah, he went back 35 quid. It's unbelievable.
When you asked for permission to use his picture in the book, he sent you a nice letter, remember?
He did, didn't he? Yeah. I wrote and asked him if I could put one of his drawings in the book. He's in there. And he said, this is the first time we spoke for a long time. And he said, "You're the first person who's ever asked me." Usually they just put them in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he said, yeah. So we started talking a little bit again, but we was never the same as we was. But there's always that little bit of a little bit of bad feeling there, you know what I mean? Because I told him I wasn't a lackey and that, and he didn't really like that. But he was a good mate, your granddad's. Really good mate. Yeah.
Was there anyone else that my granddad introduced you to, like big names?
Well, yeah, the Krays. Johnny Nash. I don't know whether you can say these names though, because the Nashes. Lots of film stars. Not Marilyn Monroe. Jane Mansfield, Diana Dawes. She was a lovely lady. You'd have liked her. She was funny. She was really funny, Diana Dawes. In fact, when her husband, Diana Dawes' husband, was his name Lake, wasn't it? Alan Lake. He said he phoned your granddad up one day, and he said, "I'd like you to have my house. It was a lovely house and all." Joe said, "Well, I want your house. Well, you'll need it." And he went, "No," he said, I want you to have it," because he was going to top himself, wasn't he? You know what I mean? But your granddad didn't take the house.
He should have done.
He should have done, yeah. Your granddad also looked after train robbers and all. When they was on the run, he put them up in different places, you know what I mean? One of them, what was his name? Who?
Bruce Reynolds in Sutton.
Bruce Reynolds. No, not Bruce Reynolds, the other one. The one who's about, I can't think of his name anyway. He was always asking Joe, get us a bottle of champagne, and he didn't want no cheap stuff. But Joe said, he's always asking for champagne. He never says, here's the money. He had all that money, all there and all, and he never thought he had to pay for anything. Your granddad introduced me to loads and loads of people. Tommy Still. Was it Marty Wilde? Yeah, Marty Wilde.
What was your views on Dave Courtney?
Dave? I like Dave. I mean, I met him at Ronnie Kray's funeral, I think it was. Yeah, Ronnie Kray's funeral, and we was just going to go into the chapel sort of thing, and he put his hand up. He went, "Sorry, mate." He said, "You can't come in." So I said, "Why's that?" And he said, "No." He said, "It's close people only." I said, "Is Charlie Kray in there?" He went, "Yeah." I said, "Go and get him, will you?" He said, "Who shall I say?" I said, "Ronnie Fields." He went, "Oh, come in." Let us all in. It was about 10 of us, I suppose, and we all went in there, you know what I mean, and having a puff and that in there with Reggie and that, Charlie. But that was a funny old funeral, really, you know what I mean. But Dave done all the things on that. I mean, as I say, a lot of people didn't like Dave, but I liked him. I found him very. I got his pocket watch. He gave me a pocket watch, gold half hunter. He gave me that for my birthday once. I think it was my 70th birthday. Yeah, he gave me a gold pocket watch. I don't know where he got it from, but he gave it to me anyway. And treated us all the lot of us for a meal in a Italian restaurant and all that. But his table manners were atrocious. You'd never see no one eat like that. You didn't want to sit next to him because you would get splashed. oh my life, I've never seen no one eat like that. I said to him, "Dave, no one's going to take it off you. Scooping it in, bleeding all, all splashed all over everywhere." But he had heart of gold. Dave, he knew a lot of people, and he could have a fight, Dave. He could have a row. But he was very, very loyal to Joe, Big Joe. And he was very loyal to me as well. We had a riot in the unit, and I had a heart attack. I collapsed with a heart attack during the riot. Handy, wasn't it? And when I went down, they started beating me with the riot sticks, about that long, you know what I mean? And Dave flung himself across the top of me. So they beating him, and then he was trying to pull me into a cell, so he could only get us one at a time, you know what I mean? He got me in there, but he took a lot of beatings himself, and then they suddenly realised he kept saying, "Ron's had a heart attack, he's a heart attack. And they said, all they could have kept saying was something like, "Yeah, he'll have one in a minute," you know what I mean? And they just kept beating us and that. And in the end, one of the screws realised that I'd had a heart attack, you know what I mean? So it stopped all the fighting, and they stopped beating everyone up, and I went out in an ambulance and had a couple of days in the hospital, and used to have an arm screw at the bottom of the armed cosser at the bottom of the bed, and one on the door, and a screw as well. So I said to the screwess, she was all right. She was, Shirley, her name was. She was very fair. She used to bring me aftershave and all that. I think she fancied me, to tell the truth. She used to bring me bottles of aftershave and all that, you know what I mean? So I said, what's the matter with these nurses? I asked them if there's any chance of a cup of tea, because they usually get, and they went, "No, there ain't." You know what I mean? So she went away and she came back and she said, the screws and the old bill had told the nurses that I was a sex offender. So, for children and that. So, but she put them straight. Big tray come in with pot of tea, biscuits, everything. And the screw went, "Oh, is there a cup for me?" She went, "No, there ain't." Yeah, because, things saying you're a sex offender, you know what I mean? Nothing but bigger insult, is it? Like being called a grass, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, worse than being called a grass. Well, I don't know which is worse, but one of them, you know, that's what they used to do. But Shirley was all right. She got the sack in the end because they said, well, they didn't sack her, they took her out of the unit because they said she was too easygoing. She wasn't strict enough. She was good as gold. I don't know what she's probably dead now, I think. But yeah, she was all right. And her little mate, used to come round and they used to come round and take the orders, you know, because you write out a list of what you want, you know, tobacco and all that, and I never had no visits for a little while. I fell out with not this wife, my wife then, and so I never had no visits and I had no money. So one day she come in and she went, "Oh, yeah, Ron, it's yours." I said, "I ain't ordering nothing, it's yours." She went, "No, that's yours, you ordered that." And it was some tobacco and biscuits and little bottle of little bleeding brute, you know, brute aftershave. But it smelt nice in there anyway, you know what I mean? Yeah, she used to look after us a bit.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the shooting and how that came about?
What?
The shooting.
Which shooting? Which one?
All of them.
Well, you don't. When you go on a bit of work, you don't set out to shoot anyone at all. I mean, a lot of people got to take empty guns, but I don't see the point in that because you might need them to get away. I never went out to shoot. If I shot someone, it was because they attacked me, tried to stop me. My job when we went to work was I'd go in, I'd jump up on the counter and I'd make sure everyone behaved themselves. And Blackie, he's dead now, he's in that book, he'd go down to the vault with the manager and all that, and I'd stay upstairs and keep everyone on the floor and all that. And sometimes someone would walk in and I'd be by the door so they didn't see me when they come in. I'd throw them on the floor, put them on the floor. And we just have the money and go. That ain't what you asked me, was it?
No, it's okay.
Shootings, as I say, you don't set out to shoot them. I mean, it's not a pleasant thing to do unless there's someone you don't like, of course. But you don't go out to shoot members of the public. You know what I mean? They usually got shot because I had one old bird throwing tins of bleeding spam at me, and God knows what, in a supermarket. We were doing the security van and we waited for him to come in so we could go, take the bag off of them and go out of them and that. And she started throwing tins of stuff at me, and I didn't have the art. I couldn't shoot her. I mean, she was an old bird, you know. But I did point at her and I said, I showered her and that, and she was like that. And I put one in the ceiling and she stopped throwing things at me then. But she weren't scared. She really wasn't. You bastard, she was going. Yeah, bless her. Yeah.
Have you ever been shot at?
Yeah, I've been shot at. Yeah, I got shot in the leg. Yeah, got shot. Got stabbed. I got shot, and I'm sure it weren't meant for me. Because I don't know why I got shot. I was walking down the road, and car come along, bosh, and done me. And to this day, I don't know why I got shot. I must have upset someone, or I was the wrong person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What was the best bank robbery that you did do?
Well, I can't tell you that.
Oh, okay.
The most money I ever had, my whack, was 110 grand, my whack, my share. And that was a good bit of work. There was 4 of us on it, and it was a good bit of work, yeah. It didn't last. It don't last long, do it? I mean, because you always know you're going to go out next week and get some more, or next day, or I'll give fortunes away to people, you know. People are like, behind with a mortgage. How much? So and so and so and so. And most of our little firm, always helping people out, you know what I mean? Silly, really, because 9 times out of 10, I'm sure they weren't behind with their mortgage and nothing, you know what I mean? But we used to give them the dough to put their mortgage straight. I mean, a mate of mine, I'm going to tell you his first name, Andy, he's in there, and he paid the bloke's mortgage, paid it all off for him. And when Andy went away, he never even got a postcard off of him. Never got a postcard, Christmas card or anything. And when he come out, the bloke come into the Winner's Wine Bar and Andy, nice to see you. Andy just chinned him, really, really, really hurt him, yeah. Not even a postcard, and he paid his mortgage off for you, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you get into any fights or anything inside?
Oh, yeah, I was always fighting inside, yeah. Mainly screws, but... yeah, but not really, you know, there's always... bloke tried to stab me in the back in queuing up for the phone. When they put... there's a new thing to us, phones in prison, you know, and you used to queue up. Never used to push in or nothing like that. I used to queue up and you always got your eyes about you and looking around, you know. See, this geezer was in patches. He was an escapee, you know, so he got yellow stripes, so you stood out like a sore thumb, you know what I mean? And well, he seems to be working his way down the line pretty quick. So I turned around and he was about 2 people away from me, so I thought, he's after me, so I turned around and started walking toward him, and he up his sleeve he had a loo brush broken off and sharpened up, you know, melted and sharpened up into a spike. So he dropped it down his sleeve and into his hand. And I looked at him and I thought to him, I said, I'll tell you what, I said, if you don't drop that, I said, I'm going to take it off you. And I said, they'll have to pull your teeth out. I stick it up your arse, I don't have to pull your teeth out to get it out. And he looked at me and dropped it and ran. And then a screw come up to me one day and he went, you fell out of one, because when you're doing it a long time and you've been in it a long time, they start calling you by your first name. And he went, you fell out when I'm Ron. I went, no, I don't fall out of people. He went, you sure? So I said, yeah. He said, see him over there? I went, yeah. He said, you know him? I went, no. I said, I've seen him on the wing. I said, I don't know him. He said, he's making a tool up out of a loo brush, and he's going to stab you with it. Oh, is he? But he didn't. He was persuaded not to.
Was you there for the Roy Shaw and Lenny McLean fight in Caesars?
Yeah.
What was your views on that?
Roy, well, they're both good fighters. I mean, Lenny beat Roy, then Roy beat Lenny, or the other way around. I can't remember now. But when your dad had his engagement party, I think it was, at the Crown in Malden, they both come, and Joe said to me, Big Joe, he went, keep them apart, Ron. I went, Lenny McLean was a giant and massive, and Roy was completely off his head. He used to take speed like sherbet dabs, you know what I mean, and drink bottles of vodka, you know. And I said, keep them apart. He went, yeah, just don't let them start arguing. I went, yeah, all right. Yeah, anyway, they started talking, and because it was your dad's do, and Big Joe had organised it and all, and that, you know, no trouble at all. No trouble at all, thank Christ. Don't know what I was going to do.
Who do you think the fiercer one is?
Sorry?
Who do you think the fiercer one is out of the two?
I can't hear you, love, sorry.
Who do you think the fiercer one is out of the two?
Who would have won?
No, who's like the fiercer one?
Who's
Like
the most scary?
Yeah.
Scary. Roy, I think. Yeah, Roy. Yeah. Then he used to shout a lot. He could fight, but he used to shout a lot. He relied on his reputation and his size. But Roy was only short. But he was vicious when he fought. I mean, I've seen him fight people. He used to go and fight gypsies and that, and absolutely ruthless, and you'd have to say, the bloke's had enough. He's had enough, you know what I mean? Because he'd just keep punching him and kicking him, but after that, we'd all be down the pub together. You know? It's a strange old world, really.
Have you got any funny stories with Roy Shaw or Lenny McClay?
What was you going to say? The food one?
Well, you've got a funny story about Ronnie Kray, haven't you? With the list in your pocket. When he gave you the list of people to...
Oh, yeah. No, that was Charlie. That was Ronnie Kray.
You were with Grandad.
Yeah.
At Broadmoor, remember?
Yeah, we was visiting Ronnie and me and your granddad, and just doing this out in the hour and talking and he went. Joe said to him, "Anything you want done," he said, "Ron will do it." Not meaning what he thought he meant, you know. And so next time we went, he stuck a list in my top pocket. He said, "Read that later on. Have a look at that later on." So, all right. Because the screws never used to stop him doing anything, you know what I mean? As long as he weren't bashing the screw up, they did what he wanted, really. So he stuck the list in my top pocket, stuck a bit of paper. So when we got outside, got out, I said, "What's all these names in, Joe?" He said, "He wants you to kill them." All right. What were they? He went, "Yeah," he said, "he wants you to kill them." I went, "Oh." And one of the geezers who was on the list was coming out of a visit, visiting him when we went in. He'd just been to visit Ronnie, and his name was on the list.
The punchline he's forgotten was he said to your granddad, "Now, what do you want me to do with these?" And your granddad said he wants you to kill them. So he said, "Is he fucking mad?" He said, "Well, he is in Broadmoor."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he said we was in Broadmoor. Yeah, we was in Broadmoor. He said, "Yeah, he's in Broadmoor." Yeah, just like that, killed him. You do it every day, don't you? And the week later, we went and visited him, and he said, "Have you done anyone on that list yet?" So I said, "I ain't got around to it yet, Ron." So he said, "Forget that." I thought, "Thank Christ for that." He went, "No, do this one. Give me another list." I mean, that's how he was. His head was completely gone. But very generous. So they were. I mean, when they got the money for their books and the films and that, Reggie gave all his away, and Ronnie gave his away the same day to a young kid who was had some sort of illness, and he gave the mum all the money, over $100,000. No one ever mentions that, did they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just give it. I think it was $120,000 he gave her. Just like that.
That's
Money
sweet.
didn't mean nothing to him, you know what I mean? But it was a nice thing to do. But as I say, no one ever mentions that.
Yeah. Do you think the film Legend portrayed the Krays the right way?
That was the best film about the Krays. Legend. It was quite authentic, and he played Ronnie to a T. He got his voice off. I said to Lynn, my missus, when we were watching it, I went, "God, if you close your eyes, you'd think that was Ronnie." Yeah, he was really good in that. He really played the part well. Yeah, I met him a couple of times. What's his name? I fucking forgot his name now.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, I met him a couple of times with your granddad. Yeah, he was a nice fella. Well, he still is, I suppose. Yeah. But he played that part because he used to talk to us about how they were so he could get into the part, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because your granddad knew every face, north, south, east and west. Everyone knew your granddad. Everyone respected him. So if he asked them to do a favour, they'd do it. And if someone went to an interview, these people never usually give an interview, Joe would say, would you do us a favour and just say a few lines for them and they'd do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You had so much respect.
Have you got any funny stories with my granddad?
Not that I can think of. No, not really. No, we used to just drink. Just drink. Can you remember anything I've said?
I'm just trying to think. I'm sure there are.
Because my memory's going.
There are some in that book. Obviously the Ronnie Kray one, but there's some more as well. I can't think off the top of my head.
I can't think.
He walk his dog, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. Gone round Joe's house and. He was never ready, Joe. He was always putting his shirt on or putting his tie there. He went, do us a favour, Ron. I went, yeah, of course. Yeah. He went, take the dog for a walk. Well, the dog wasn't no bigger than that teacup. I went, I'm not going out with that. And he went, yeah, just take him over the park because the park's opposite. Anyhow, I went, no, Joe. I said, I ain't. Because before that, they had a Rottweiler, didn't they? I thought, I'm walking the Rottweiler, but not this thing. I don't know what make it was, but it was the smallest dog I've ever seen in my life. And I said, no, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that at all. And he looked at me, he knew I wasn't going to do it. He started to smile then, you know what I mean?
With all the crimes that you have committed and stuff, do you regret any?
I regret shooting them people. That was an accident. I think I regret scaring people so much, you know what I mean? Because when you steam into a bank, I mean, bank robbery was all the thing then. I mean, it ain't no more. But it was all the thing. I mean, people are really scared, you know. Three geezers come in or two geezers come in, masked up, hollering and shouting, firing shots into the ceiling and that. I mean, I've seen geezers and women wet themselves, you know what I mean, and all that. But you ain't there to hurt them, you're only there for the money. That's what I used to say to them. Not here to hurt you, I only want the money. One geezer, he wouldn't come out. I couldn't get behind the counter because they put them things right up to the ceiling in the end. So I was screaming at him, you know, open the door, you know, at the side of the thing. And he wouldn't come out, he wouldn't show himself. And this woman showing by his name, like George or something. George, open that fucking door, let him in. I used to make out I was like loony, you know what I mean? It scared the life out of him. But he opened it, he did open it. And that night, in the place where we used to drink, this woman was telling her friends how her husband was in the bank and some armed robbers come in and how he fronted them out and all. No complete bollocks. I didn't say nothing. But it was me, wasn't it? And he said, oh yeah, he refused to give them the money until they started firing guns and that. Threw himself on the floor straight away, you know what I mean? He didn't even want to get up to give us the money. Yeah. Oh, he pulled a bird in front of him as well. Pulled one of the cashiers in front of him, yeah. And he was telling them, I stood up to him and that, and he pulled the cashier in front of him. Yeah. Yeah, right brave man.
What about Securicor? Can you tell me about Securicor? You went and worked for Securicor, didn't you?
Sorry?
When you were at the peak of your career, you got a job with Securicor.
Oh yeah, I got a job with Securicor, yeah.
They're the people that used to cart the money around.
Yeah, I got a job.
Vans everywhere.
I got a job on Securicor because they changed the inside of the vans. The safe used to be one side of the van used to be the safe, and they used to call them chainsaw robberies. They weren't chainsaws, they was grinders, but all the inside was all proper steel and that, but the back of the safe was the side of the van. So you zoom, cut that open and take the dough out.
Have you heard the rumour about the Krays killing Marilyn Monroe, getting her killed?
No.
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 Yeah, it's bullshit.
I never heard that one.
You know, that one's no shit.
No, I never heard that one, no. They used to love a film star, they did. You ever see them in there? They always had film stars around them. It was just strange, really, as they was both gay, but they always had film stars with them. Barbara Windsor was Charlie Kray's girlfriend, Reggie Kray's girlfriend, and Charlie Kray's girlfriend. I liked her a lot. Yeah, she was very bubbly, really nice company. What
is your opinion on how the world has changed today compared to how it used to be?
Well, when I was a kid, the world seemed an easier place. I mean, nowadays, people don't really care about other people. When I was younger, and that, you know, neighbours looked after each other. People were more friendly. I mean, it was an easier going life. It was an easier going life. Well, it probably was for us because we had plenty of money, but it was an easier going life, you know. I mean, but now everyone's trying to tuck everyone up.
What would you tell the younger generation to persuade them away from crime?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Ain't worth it. I mean, 23 years I was banged up. I mean, I lost my wife. My houses, I had a couple of houses.
Thank you so much for coming on, Ronnie.
Oh, you're very welcome, yeah.
Make sure you guys read the book.
Yeah, make sure you buy the book. I've got to sign that for you, haven't I? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe.
Cheers, mate.